Voices of the Void is boring. The game starts you out working the 9 to 5. You wake up, fail at doing some basic 3rd grade math. Look for signals. Then go to bed. Sounds like a uninteresting and uneventful game, right? Wrong. Voices of the Void does this on purpose, which is why the game is so unique. The point of this is to build suspense and fear, so that the game can surprise you at the least suspecting moments. Dude, oh my god. Also, make sure you watch the end of the video, because this concept applies to another game that I don't think you're going to be able to guess. Voices of the Void is great at building up suspense. Though the game has lots of awesome big events to build up suspense, I believe that the best events are the smaller ones. What up? What the f? Take, for instance, moving mannequins. The mannequins move when you aren't looking at them, so it can give a feeling of uneasiness. And even though mannequins don't attack you, they can still give you quite the scare. What the f? Yo! He entered! The power's off! Get out of here! Another example are the strange signals you find in space.
I'm over here stroking my I got lotion on my right now. I'm just stroking my I'm horny as man. I'm a freak, man. Like, for real.
And although these signals don't impose a real threat on you, they build up tension just by being strange. Even the smallest things, like noises, build up suspense. Like the radar making a noise when a new entity has entered the map. All these examples come to my main point, that the game catches you off guard with all of these things. You're so focused on working the 9 to 5 that you forget what's waiting out there for you. Working this boring 9 to 5 job bores you into a false set of security, allowing the game to strike when you least expect it. Oh, dude. You little f***er, dude. Oh, f***. All of this to lead me to my next point. Horror games have been a hot thing in the gaming industry for a while now. All the way from indie games to AAA, the community loves horror. With Voices of the Void, there are quite a few times I have felt horror. Oh, dude. But I don't really think the game strives in the horror aspects. I mean, the horror in the game is good, but I really think the game strives in the terror aspect. There's a great article written by Neil Chase, and in this article, he explains the major differences between horror versus terror. But before I explain the differences, I think it's best to add in a game that mostly focuses on horror so we can compare it to our terror game. I chose a pretty simple pick that everybody was most likely aware of, Five Nights at Freddy's. I chose this game because I feel like it illustrates the points pretty well, and everybody knows Five Nights at Freddy's. That's easy, right? So now that we got our two games, let's make the comparison between horror and terror. Horror creates feelings of shock and fear, while terror builds up feelings of suspense and unease. Death and violence are overt in horror, while death and violence are often implied or suggested with terror. Horror has a more straightforward plot with jump scares and creeping dread, while terror has a more subtle story with looming tension and hidden fear. The main point is, horror's purpose is to scare. Terror's purpose is to unsettle.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, have fun. I'm out.
No, wait. With all that being said, it's also important to note that these two can overlap. Most of the time, these do overlap in at least one of the areas. In Five Nights at Freddy's, you build terror on suspense, since you don't know if the animatronics are going to get you. Oh my god, I just got one! With that being said, I would still say that Five Nights at Freddy's relies on more of a horror aspect because of the constant jump scares. In Voices of the Void, there are also moments of horror in the game, but the times are few and far between, with terror being the main aspect for the game. Here's an example. Let's say I find a deer skull in a broken down shack. I then take this deer skull to my base. Then, let's say I, hypothetically, put a deer skull in the microwave. Yeah, that doesn't look good. The feeling I currently have is terror, because I haven't experienced seeing the frightening thing yet. The game having this sort of boring job aspect to it gives it kind of a unique thing, because you will most likely have an initial terror, but forget about it because you go back to your 9-to-5 job. Then once you forget about it, a new entity has entered the map, and you start to wonder what microwaving that skull did. Okay, pause. I was going to show off what spawns when you microwave the skull so it can represent horror, but I never seen him in my playthrough. Funny enough, this was the point I was making earlier in this video, with Voices of the Void mostly consisting of terror. So much so that I never actually experienced the horror part with this deer interaction. I just was constantly experiencing the terror part of what might happen. Voices of the Void showed that I was more worried about what might happen, that I didn't ever stop to realize there's a chance that nothing will happen. This relates to the boring aspects of the game, since the game's terror aspect significantly increases because most of the time, you're doing a boring task. So when something with terror happens, it catches all of your attention. Now, I want to compare this game to another game that I also have a lot of hours in. And that game is... That's right, Tarkov. Now, I know what you're saying.
But Spaceman, Tarkov and Voices of the Void are nothing alike. One game is about aliens and the other one is about shooting people and getting cheated on.
He's lying down. He's lying down. And to that I say... Anyways, Tarkov and Voices of the Void are nothing alike. They don't even share the commonality of half the script of this video. I mean, what do they share in common? A deer skull? However, they do share one big thing, which is being boring.
Yay!
For most of the time, Tarkov is extremely boring, because you are pretty much just shoving your head in a filing cabinet, looking around for a key, or searching for players that left the raid 15 minutes ago. Even though most of the game is boring downtime searching for items or players, it's extremely fun for the peak moments of it. Scav is trying to work him. You never know when some random dude is just camping behind a door or is watching the street with a grenade launcher.
Okay, someone was on the grenade launcher.
The game has tons of unexpected things, just like Voices of the Void. You go out in Voices of the Void to work your 9 to 5, but then you're caught off guard by something abnormal. That's what makes the game interesting. Not the boring parts of it, but what might happen during those boring parts. And in Tarkov, we don't play to loot jackets all day. We play because we never know what might happen during those boring parts.
I died.
Also, it's a big red flag for anybody who likes Tarkov. Take it from me. In conclusion, being boring allows the game to let your guard down so things can trigger your terror. This allows for more enjoyment since you never know what's lurking on the outside. Or the inside. If you enjoyed the video because of my below par editing and script writing, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm also going to start streaming on Twitch May 30th, so feel free to stop by for that. You can also get more information on my stream and my Discord, which I have linked below as well. And as always, thanks for watching.